So in today's video, I want to go over a concept that has really helped me out throughout my life, and it really paid off in spades when I was in grad school trying to get through my PhD. And it's this concept that every little step forward is still progress, regardless of how big or small that step may be. In case you're new to the channel, my name is Oliver. I love to talk about personal finance. My dollar to dollar portfolio project is like kind of a good embodiment of the idea that I just talked about, because in a sense, it's not really about the investments that I'm making, but it's about the continuous saving that I'm doing. And even if it's really small at the moment, eventually the compound effects of me saving a little bit more every single month will pay off in a huge way. So this concept is not new. It's actually introduced in James Clear's book called Atomic Habits. It's this book right here where he talks about how you can make tiny changes and get remarkable results. He goes about talking about this example where if you were to increase your skills by 1% every single day for 1 year, you'd be 37 times better than you were when you first started. Conversely, if you were to get worse every single day by 1%, by the end of the year, you'd be 1/100th of where you started. It really goes to show the ability of compounding to take hold on whatever it is you want to do. It really drives home the point that as long as you're consistent and you put in effort every single day to make some type of progress, you're going to do fine, regardless of how small that progress may be. The misconception that I want to address is that when people think of success, they typically think that it's just meant for the lucky and for those that were just like born with that talent. And I really want to challenge this because while that may be true for some people, I want to say that success is something that you can practice and fine tune over time to generate really good results. This concept, I think, is something I practiced a lot back when I was in grad school, because at the time I was only making like $1,000 a month or so, and that was barely enough to cover like my rent and my food, and I had barely anything left over for savings. So at the time, I remember thinking to myself, what the heck is the point? Like, I'm barely saving anything, I might as well just blow it all on whatever it is I want to spend. So with that in mind, I really challenged myself to set a good budget to be able to try to attempt to save more money. Regardless of how small the savings were, I think I could only do like 20 or 30 bucks of every single month. And that was like my first year of grad school, so it was really like minimal at the time. Over time though, I got better at understanding my budget, knowing how much I made, how much money I spent, and also how much money I could save. And I could also carve out ways in which I could save even more money by doing other things, such as maybe taking advantage of good sales at the grocery market, moving to a cheaper location, getting a roommate. These are ideas that I really wouldn't have thought about if I didn't really understand my budget and what my goals were at the time. And the goal was to save for a basic emergency fund of like $1,000 or so. So this was a very conscious effort. This was very hard. There were times where I almost gave up because I was just thinking like, this is meaningless, not going to make a big difference. So like I mentioned before though, any little step forward is still progress. And my ability to budget based on like a tiny stipend was huge, because I realized that as the years went on for grad school, I was able to make more and more money as a grad student. So because of that, I was able to increase my income slightly. I was able to put away more money into savings and make use of my budgeting skills. Not only that, but I realized there was a point where I could only save so much. So I realized that there are ways to make more money. Just to share some funny anecdotes, I basically tried to do Amazon Mechanical Turk for a year. Mechanical Turk is their service on Amazon to allow researchers to get more survey data. So in exchange for data, they'll actually pay the participants like 50 cents to 75 cents per survey. And that's what I did. And I set a goal to do $3 a day or so. I was still able to save a little bit of my Amazon Mechanical Turk earnings too, which wasn't much. I think I earned like $1,000 over the course of a year or so. It probably was the worst hourly pay that I could make, but it was something at the time. In addition to the Mechanical Turk, I also worked as a tutor as well. This was really fun because I love teaching, and I also have a pretty good knack for chemistry, math, and physics. So I figured this was a good way to leverage my skills in those areas to help people in the Seattle area. So I was able to charge a pretty decent hourly rate. It was much higher than that of my grad student pay at the time. I think I charged like $35 to $40 an hour, and by the end of grad school, I was able to charge roughly $60 an hour. So that was really big for me because that really catapulted my savings at the time. But just to go back though, it all started from a very simple idea of how do I budget $1,000 for a month? I remember those days and nights worrying about this and thinking that like I'll never really make it. and thinking that my emergency fund growth was like super small and I could barely afford dates at the time too, which was kind of tragic. Looking back, I was really glad that I went through that experience because I got to learn how to budget properly, to really analyze my expenses, and know exactly how much I'm spending per month. So just to boil everything down, after all those years of budgeting, keeping track of my income and my expenses, putting up ads on Craigslist for my tutoring services, busing around the Seattle area to Bellevue, Kirkland, Redmond, you name it, and also doing those like countless Amazon Mechanical Turk surveys, I was able to graduate in 2017 with my PhD, have funded my Roth IRA for like the last 3 years of school, also have a fully stocked emergency fund for my job search, which ended up paying off huge because my job search actually took a little longer than I anticipated. And because of my emergency fund, I was able to support myself for the months that I needed to look for my first job. So you know what the most interesting part is? That even though all this happened back in 2012, 2017, I never forgot what I learned back then. And that is, all it takes is a little bit of determination, a little bit of consistency, and you can make it really, really far. Like for me, at the time in 2012, I remember thinking to myself, like, this is impossible. I might as well just give up because it's just not going to happen. But by the time 2017 rolled around, like that was a completely different ballgame. And I'm so glad I pushed myself. And that's what I'm going to continue to do with this project on YouTube as well. So if you made it all the way to the end of this video, and you're probably working on some type of goal project yourself, if you're doing the 12x project that I'm participating in, remember all it takes is a little step. And I need to remind myself of this every single day. YouTube is super hard. This is one of the biggest projects that I've ever done. I've never been so comfortable talking in front of a camera, but I'm doing it right now, and I am hopefully one day this will all pay off at some point. But you know, I'm just speaking off script right now. I just want to like talk to you, the viewer. Whatever it is you want to do, just do it. It doesn't matter how much, it doesn't matter how big or small your step is, just keep making progress. It's gonna pay off huge, I promise you. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you like the message that I had in this video, feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It really does mean a lot to me, and I really do appreciate your support. Well, thank you so much again, and I'll see you in the next video.